Jiva soul. There's a Jiva soul inside every car. And then it comes to mind about the ants. There's some expression which I've read that only the Lord knows why the ant is going here or there. The Lord knows that. And so when we're looking from the sky and seeing all these motor cars going on these roundabouts and these squiggly roads, they're all going in some direction. We're looking down and we're thinking inside each car there's a living entity. Only the Lord knows where all these ant cars are going and why they're going there. And so there's Rupanuga Prabhu, a living entity inside a motor car. We can see the living entity. Two hands on the wheel, Prabhu. You have life experience. We have life experience. Driving is a very serious and responsible duty. Yes, good morning, good evening, Brindavaneshwari Didi. Good afternoon, Jeevana Didi, or late afternoon. Good morning, Radha Sundari Didi, and Dana, good evening. And Rupanuga, well into the day, maybe afternoon, I think. And we are on Facebook too, I see, and if the gods are willing, I'll be able to also pick us up on Facebook. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda. All right, dear devotees, we're a couple of minutes in. We look forward to hearing from you, from us sharing things between each other. And here we are. Let us begin with our mini Vandanam as we are accustomed to do, an auspicious prayer at the beginning, worship. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saha Ganalalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Anmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurataje Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Yes, dear devotees. And I didn't mention Leela Moy Prabhu by name. Please excuse me, Leela Moy Prabhu. We don't want to take you for granted. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate very much. All right. So just to follow on that point of the jiva souls in the cars like ants. I mean, there's so many. Oh, then landing, after landing, where I was collected, there was no need to pick me up. But the sweet devotees, they wouldn't take no for an answer. So they collected me at the airport. And then we are one of those bodies, metal bodies with a jiva soul inside. And we were talking with Jaya Shekhar Prabhu and Anindita who picked me up. And we're saying, so now we are that jiva soul and thinking ourselves the center of everything. Our car, our this, our that. And so a little perspective sometimes can come to us. And it's interesting. They've been devotees for a long, long time. I think 16 years old is Anindita when she was 16. And now she's a little more than 16 years old. Hare Krishna. All right. So, dear devotees. Oh, yes. I had another thing to say about the Jiva soul. What was I going to say? About the cars. Oh, yes. Came in my mind in discussion too about when Srila Prabhupada went to America for the first time, then he made some comment afterwards, and it is recorded because I read it. I read it in Srila Prabhupada's books where he is saying about here in America, everyone is going very fast in their motor cars. They're going very fast. And remember, he just come from India, and at that time especially, probably lots of potholes, slow cars, slow driving. But here everyone's going very fast. But where are they going to, was his point. Necessary to have a destination. To go nowhere fast is no achievement. It is necessary to have a destination and be going in a direction. So that was a comment from Srila Prabhupada that we were also recording. So this is my beginning with a little sharing, basic sharing to give us some perspective on our lives and how tiny we are in this whole creation, but how Krishna cares for every atom. In Vrindavan, he cares for every atom, every blade of grass, I was going to say mosquito, but I think I'll use another example because perhaps there are not mosquitoes as we know them in Vrindavan. I'll meditate on that one. We do keep on asking ourselves questions, which we think, I wonder what it's like, but we'll find out when we get there. Anyway, in Vrindavan, Krishna cares for every atom. Everything is important. Every grain of sand, we are told. So here we are, we're in the material world, and then we are thinking ourselves so important and thinking Krishna unimportant in the normal, or thinking that God is unimportant in the normal course of the world. So we really do have to make a change of heart and be humble, tolerant, give honor to others. This is how we can fit into the organic whole. All right. Jivana Devirasi, you know you're going to be asked to say something, and I know, because I have sixth sense, no, but I know you're always prepared, so you'll have something for us to share with us kindly. Microphone, please turn on your. Thank you.
Love, hate technology. But because all of you are so tolerant and merciful and so sweet and good natured, and because you like to hear things, which is amazing, I try to bring something by Madhusudana Maharaj's request. But luckily for you, it will just be something kind of short, but it will be from Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 2. And just read a little something from here for all of you illustrious personalities. And this is from the chapter called Invite Vasudev to the Throne of Your Heart.
So I think everyone here knows it's Srila Guru Maharaj. This is by Srila Guru Maharaj.
Yes. Yes. And this is from chapter 1. I might have read this before because I had it bookmarked already. But anyway, if anybody really remembers me saying this, you get triple extra credit for having such a great memory. Because
Jivana's famous double extra credits, now triple extra credits being distributed by Jivana.
Yeah.
World famous. She owns the copyright for this.
I don't have it, but sometimes I can recognize it. Like if somebody can remember, oh yeah, you read that 3 months ago already. That's really good.
You know what? There is no harm in repetition. And Srila Guru Maharaj pointing out that we are repeating many things, but it will be ever fresh as much as we're connected with the spiritual plane, the upper plane. So I'll be very happy if you are repeating it, because it'll be helping the message go into our skull.
For myself, hopefully. So this is towards the end of the chapter. And this devotee was asking about how we are taught to follow, but it seems that there's a point where we imitate and then we follow later because we have no qualification. When we try to follow, we're actually imitating somehow. So he does ask, what is the difference between imitation and following? Where Guru Maharaj says, in Anusarana, following, there is sincerity. An Anukarana, imitation, is only for name and fame or pratishta. To only imitate devotion outwardly without inner purity is more or less done to get the glory of a sadhu. And Anusarana means to attain from the heart sincerely. So true following is sincere progress, and imitation is artificiality. So I'm going to read the next paragraph. It says, it has been practically experienced that responsible services, maybe I've read this before, but anyway, it's a very important point about responsible services, can help us from falling prey to lust, anger, etc. Foremost is faith, Shraddha. Next is the association of pure devotees, sadhu sangha, and deep engagement with the duties prescribed by the Divine Master, bhajana kriya. So we've heard this is like the process of how to progress, right, in spiritual life. First, there's faith, and then there's association, and then there's deep engagement services. Deep engagement is necessary, especially for the mind, not only the body. And mental engagement can be attained only by responsibility. Some responsible service is given to the disciple. He feels weight, and it occupies his brain. He cannot but think about it. The mind is engaged, therefore surely. So the mind gets no chance to dwell on lower things. This is the beauty of deep engagement in responsible service. In the practical sense, that helps us a great deal. Then association and scriptures will really be of substantial help to us as service, pariprashna sevaya. As much as we are able to engage ourselves in deep responsible services, the enemy's effect on us will be minimized. They will come and peep and will step back saying, no time. He is deeply engaged. He has no time to give attention to us. He may not be enticed. In this way, they will have to retreat. Then if they return once, twice, thrice, or more, oh, no time. He has no attention to spare for us. He is very deeply engaged for seva. Seva, service, should not be merely physical. There is mental seva, and only responsibility can capture the mind. In responsibility, the mind is compelled to think on the matter. Otherwise, the mind may be free to wander hither and thither, even while the body is apparently engaged. So engage the mind in deep service, responsible service. That was end of chapter 1 of volume 2.
And then after chapter 1 reading comes the commentary by Jivana Devidasi.
Well, I think that anybody on this call can give a better commentary than me. But it really affected me to read this because it's true. You can be doing some service. I do this all the time. And while I'm doing the service, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that. And it's super annoying because it's like, can I just focus on the service? But that was very helpful, that if we can take some true responsibility, find the service that gives us an opportunity to have that kind of responsibility, so that we feel some kind of transcendental pressure to ensure that the service gets done, or we engage the people that need to be engaged, so that we can have a chance to otherwise occupy this mind that really wants to always go the wrong way. It's very anxious and very easy. It's so easy to slide downhill. It's much more difficult to walk uphill, but sliding downhill, so easy. So I thought this was a really, really amazing paragraph from Guru Maharaj about the importance of a responsible service, even if it's a small service. Like sometimes somebody is responsible for making the garlands on Thursdays. So if they can always show up on Thursday and make the garland, it's super happy and helpful for everybody. But if you don't show up, it's just more confusing for everybody. And okay, now what are we going to do? But somebody who really takes their service and hangs on to it, like for dear life, it's what we have. And it's very beautiful. No matter what service it is, we have this wonderful devotee in SoCal. His name is Yadunandan. And sometimes I tell him, you're our favorite person. And he comes, no matter what's going on, he'll come every time and take care of all the garbage and all the recycle. And he carefully breaks up all the boxes, puts them in place, takes the garbage out, takes the ones to the compost pile or the one that goes to the real garbage. And he does it all the time. And he never expects anything from anybody. But all the devotees at the temple, we notice it like crazy. And we're always amazed. Brenda, one time, she said, I think he's my favorite devotee. because for years he's been doing this service that maybe people won't even notice because it's about the garbage, but it's so valuable. And he has that kind of passion for it and that kind of responsible feeling that I have to get this done no matter what. In fact, when we had COVID, outside devotees weren't allowed to come into the temple. And so when he came, he was told, well, we can't have outside people here right now. And he looked at me and he said, well, she's here and she's an outside person. And then the person said, well, she has service. And he said, well, I have service. I have my service. I have to do this and that and that. And I do it all the time. And it was so beautiful to see how he feels about it. So he stayed and he's been there before that and after that. Anyway, I was just thinking of one example of this.
And I'm sure he's everyone's favorite devotee when we hear these descriptions of him.
It's true.
And you see, we were saying no one is neglected in the service world. And their service, being responsible for something which we may consider, oh, this is not a very high service. But another thing is, if it's normal times and he doesn't come and do it, everyone will notice he doesn't come and
True.
Hare Krishna. And there also you were reading from Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Guru Maharaj, I'm not sure if the word was peep or peak, but
yeah, peep.
Peep with a P.
They will come and peep. Yes, yes. Wow.
So this we were also remembering recently about how Srila Guru Maharaj sees everything as a personality. And so, lust, greed, anger, we normally don't see them really as like persons so much. But here Guru Maharaj is saying, they'll come, they'll peep, they'll see they're busy, and then they'll go. I mean, a very personal view of seeing the challenges which we face with our mind, with our everything that comes to us. Yes, very beautiful. And definitely we want to be reminded of these things. And another thing does come to mind, that service has been given to us already by Mahaprabhu's instruction. And when we may think, oh, I don't have any responsible service. But you see, Srila Prabhupada took the hint of the guidance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur of what he wanted him to do, what needs to be done. What needs to be done? Take the message of Mahaprabhu to the Western world. And he did that. And then you see 26 hours a day engaged in service. And when we see or hear about his schedule, I've heard about his schedule from those who've been with him and serving him, that he would get up at midnight in order to do his translation work, which he regarded as so vital, not only to teach people to use their right hand, not their left hand, to how to cook rice and all sorts of things, which he did. He taught them how to cook. He cooked for the devotees, etc. But in the middle of the night, he's getting up to do this. And the devotee who's telling me this, who's now passed away, he said, because the devotees wouldn't give him peace in the daytime. He wouldn't give him any peace. So at night, in the middle of the night, after a little rest, he gets up and then gives his attention. So how much 26-hour a day example do we need beyond this? And that is from, in a general, you can say, call from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because Gurudev said that Srila Saraswati Thakur said this to many, the English speakers, those who had good English speaking, he wanted them to go to the West to spread Mahaprabhu's message, which at that time, the West was very predominated by, well, London, the British Empire earlier, and the English-speaking world. So we have that general call from Mahaprabhu. Tell others about Krishna. You chant Krishna, you worship Krishna, and you tell others about Krishna. And so now we know it's not only English language, but all languages of the world. And now you see in Portuguese, so many beautiful books have come out. And not only that, there's a unique book, which we would like to see in English, that Som, which came out in Portuguese. And everybody, all the Brazilians, are so saying, oh, this is a wonderful book, best book ever. But this way in different languages. And then we saw Srila Gurudev, when he got books in Russian, then he was like astonished to see, oh, now in Russian. And then in Chinese. And that credit goes to Yudamanyu Prabhu, that our books came out in Chinese. Home Comfort is there in Chinese. Everything has come. And who was saying to me about it takes just one person. Anyway, just recently this was coming up. And it really takes one person. And Srila Prabhupada was one person. And look what he did. And so when we are trying to do something in our own countries or our own areas or our own strengths, whatever we can do, it's up to us to try to give our full energy for that. And we are not short of guidance. And you see, Jeevana selected again something so practical for us to remind us in our everyday life. Remind me. Remind all of us. And sometimes we're fortunate where we're not looking for anything. We're not going out trying to think, oh, so how will I fill those hours? And we're fortunate when we have a big in tray. Well, we're fortunate as long as we attend to it, not just to look at it. I know nobody knows what an in tray is. Probably you do in the offices. I expect you still have paper. I see plenty of paper floating around. The in tray and the out tray. Now it's the inbox and the outbox, isn't it, on the computer? Hare Krishna. And some chat in the chat box. Dana, Hare Krishna, and sending her offerings. And Gangalila saying, transcendental pleasure. Question mark, question mark, question mark, and a smile.
No, it's something Jivana said. She said something about the service and that we are so preoccupied that we can't have the lust and the anger peep at us because there is transcendental pressure, not pleasure. I'm sorry, I misspelled it. And I'm like, it makes me laugh, but I'm also like, elaborate on transcendental pressure.
Transcendental pressure. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So the Google spell correction or the Madhusudan spell correction didn't get it right.
No.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, transcendental pressure. Consciousness, always about consciousness. And anyway, I know I've said it before, but it's amazing that the scriptures, the sadhus, the clean-hearted persons, they know what goes on inside our heads.
I know, right? Mhm.
I know, we can't hide anything.
Yeah.
And it's all about consciousness. The Bhagavad Gita and everything. And then the sweet interaction, the interaction between devotees, sometimes not appearing so sweet, but given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And sometimes they appear to be like mock fighting, transcendental fighting, Nityananda
Mhm.
showing anger to Advaita Acharya. But everyone's joyful to see what's taking place, including Advaita Acharya. And he gets a bit of rice stuck on him when Nityananda is saying, "What is this? This is not enough food." Just a mere morsel of food. He throws a little rice, it sticks on Advaita Acharya's body, and he's in transcendental pleasure by that. Hare Krishna. Yes, and by the way, Jagamohini Devi, Rasi Kum Didi, Madhava Prabhu, and others who are on Facebook, super to have you with us and to know we are in such exalted, I mean, really exalted company, the senior devotees, and we pray for everybody's Vaishnava, Atta Vaishnava, gracious glance and qualities. We pray that they be gracious to us all, and we always look up to those who have got such Vaishnava qualities given to them by our grand divine masters, super grand divine masters. And we are so fortunate. We've said this before, and we've read these books many times before, but always we're reminding ourselves, we're so fortunate to be here in the clean current of Mahaprabhu's teaching, come through Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who woke the world up to what is the clean current and has been given so elaborately and clearly by Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Gurudev. And we can become disturbed by Kali Yuga. I suppose we can say it's Kali Yuga. One of the qualities of Kali Yuga is that we are always disturbed. There's descriptions of Kali Yuga. We even made a booklet with the title Kali Yuga. And it was, I mean, made a booklet means, well, I did make a booklet and printed it on our laser printer, maybe 10 copies or something. And we had a book hanging with it's a booklet. I don't know how many pages it was, like 16, 18, I don't know, pages, maybe more. And then we had it on a string hanging by the corner outside the bookshop in Navadip, Chaitanya Saraswat Math. And the bookshop was like the central place where the devotees would all come together. You know, would come together. It was a natural socializing place and a holy place. But socializing in Krishna consciousness, not for discussing the character of others and this kind of thing, but the devotional life of association. And anyway, we had it hanging there, but it was a booklet, simply some excerpts from the scripture about Kali Yuga. And some of it was so ordinary to us that well, why did we make that little booklet? Because to assert, to show we are in Kali Yuga. And some of the excerpts in there are just so ordinary to us that it's not only not shocking, it's just normal. You know, about intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex. I mean, absolutely, by the if the television in our day was anything to go by, and I'm sure it hasn't got any better since we last watched TV, then all of these things, they are shown to be the normal standard of society. And then what to speak of, the glorification of anger and so many things. And in India, I don't know if anywhere else, there was a company that sold or manufactured like washing machines, air conditioners, etc. And its like selling point was be the envy of your neighbor. And like envy, and it had it in big letters on the board, like make others envious. And it even had like a little devil picture or something which went along with it. And that was their selling point, which I suppose you can say advertising is meant to get you to remember their product. Well, I do remember their product. I remember the name of it too. But so I suppose they're successful in one way. But I wouldn't buy their product just by, if that's their way of making you buy their washing machine. I think I'll go for some other criteria. But anyhow, the point being that we are in Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna. So transcendental pressure to do our responsible service. Yes. And so that our enemies will peep in. Take a peep. Look around, peep. Oh, busy. Go away. And elsewhere, Srila Guru Maharaj, or another time, Srila Guru Maharaj says that they will come back. They'll come, they'll peep, they'll try, but they'll go away. Second time, again, they try. Third time, they say, I won't. Why I waste my time to go there? They're too busy. Because Guru Maharaj explained these things, at different times, more than once. Sometimes we're hearing a talk, and then we say, oh, yes, I've seen this transcribed or in a book. That's in a book. And then you find, no, it's not the same as in the book. For instance, to give an example, Chinadapi Suni Chinatarori Vasahishna from Srila Gurudev. Now we can think, oh yes, we've heard it before. But every time was fresh. Every time was meant not just learning a verse and repeating it, not just learning the meaning of the verse, to be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, to give honor to others and not want honor for oneself, and is qualified to chant the holy name of the Lord constantly, but to have the feeling and the mood behind it. Hare Krishna. Oh yes, so any question from anyone? Or can we ask specifically? Maybe Vrindavaneshri Didi can't, maybe she can't make a noise just now because it's the middle of the night in her house. But she's always, I know it's night, but I was going to say she's always awake with, our spiritual path and what we are doing and why we are doing it. Do you have a contribution or a question, Vrindavaneshri Didi?
Nandavad. No, today I'm just a listener.
Okay. We're happy to have you as a listener, and listening is part of the service. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Hare Krishna. Naratam Nitai. Prabhu, Naratam Nitai. If one finds oneself without money, how can we understand this as Krishna's mercy? Or is it very subjective as per our experience? And there's another question here. What is the peacock for Krishna? Aha. I'm going to pass this one on. Let me just look at see who's here. About the peacock. Oh, Sevarupa says we have homework from our last class. Oh dear. And oh dear. scratching my head to think what was the homework. Okay. While we're all thinking about the peacock and no money, tell us can you remind us as remind me as a bad student, what was the homework?
Dandavats Maharaj, Dandavats devotees. We had to go through Upadeshamritam and start reading Brahma Samhita, or maybe even finish it by now. That was the homework I can remember.
Okay. Well, Upadeshamritam, then I definitely did my homework without realizing it was homework, because actually we've been chanting the not Brahma Samhita, the Upadeshamritam, and the first 8 verses, and then we summarize the last 3 verses. But we have been chanting that with the devotees, and it is ever fresh. And Brahma Samhita, yes, it's on my conscience, but it wasn't on my conscience as homework. Now it's given as homework. I've got some transcendental pressure that we should start reading it. And now, okay, Thursday. Acha. So I'm going to type in Upadeshamritam and Brahma Samhita. If I do it right now, if you all do the same as me, in this context, don't do the same as me in every context. Then, now we can remind ourselves, or we are reminded by Seva Rupa of our homework. Yes, okay, wonderful. So there's we can ask in a moment if anybody's done that homework and anything they'd like to share. But let us first of all, one by one, let us come back to Narottam Nitai Prabhu's question about finding oneself without money. Then how can we understand this as Krishna's mercy? Or is it very subjective as per our experience? Well, it is subjective. Narottam Nitai Prabhu means the same activity, looking outwards, the same circumstances. Someone has no money or someone has great wealth. Outwardly looking, many symptoms are the same, but how they face having wealth, how they use that energy, because wealth is energy that happens to be coming from the Lord, how they use that wealth, or when they don't have opulence, how they use that quality of the quality that Krishna has of, what is it? Renunciation. That's one of the qualities of Krishna. When we see a list of Krishna's qualities, all fame, beauty, all these things, and included there's this quality of renunciation. Then Krishna has these qualities. So we also need to have those qualities. Means, okay, we're not imitating Krishna, but we should be prepared to have these kind of qualities where we are not attached to things of this world. And unfortunately, the bank account seems to be one of those things which we do become very attached to. Though, as several devotees have pointed out to me, they've worked their whole life and they're still paying off. They're still in debt. So, it's the bank account is even illusory, that we get mortgages from the bank and this, that, and the other. So not actually my car, it's not actually my house, but we are being convinced that it is once we pay for it. But of course, once we get to pay for it, something else comes up. But this idea, it is not so much having no money or having a poor health or anything else. It is our attitude to it. And again, Krishna knows everything. The actual sadhus and saints, those who are saintly, they know what's going on inside our mind. And we are all getting personal tutorship, especially when we have made some decision. I want to be a student of Krishna consciousness. Then believe it or not, there is our Grand Master, Mahaprabhu himself, Nityananda Prabhu, Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami coming through our line, and Paramatma, Krishna himself, Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna. Once we turn towards Krishna and have this desire to enroll, as it were, as a student, then Krishna makes arrangement for our individual tutorship. We are not just one face in a university lecture hall of 60 people. We're being individually tutored by the Lord. So we must try to be equal when there's wealth and when there's suddenly no wealth. And similarly, with something which can be probably more difficult, and this does apply to a devotee just very recently, like very difficult position, not financially, but devotee who heart kind of broken by being betrayed, or whether that's the right word, yes, anyway, let down by somebody in whom they had much trust and faith. And in the world, in the material world, husband and wife and children and parents and all sorts of things, there are many connections which we sort of take for granted. We don't have to be cautious. In a family, we shouldn't have to look and see if our siblings are, filtering away our bank account, for instance. I mean, we shouldn't have to think like that. Everybody should be there to back up the others, and at least to have trust that they're not going to misuse what is there in the family as each other's property. So why I'm saying this is because more difficult than losing money is being like heartbroken and dishonored. So Krishna also says again in Bhagavad Gita, which Guru Maharaj and Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada refer to constantly, even in their high topics, what to speak of the back to basics, the basics of devotional service. They refer to the Gita. And there Krishna is saying, amongst many things, of course, that one should be equipoised in praise and insult, in honor and dishonor. So lots of things happen to everybody, but yes, it is an individual lesson. And so the same thing may happen, well, the same thing does happen to two people. If a bank collapses, and these things have happened in the world, where somebody's provident fund, something they've been saving all their life, they're thinking, I'm going to retire. And then suddenly they find, oh dear, somebody else has my money. I don't have it anymore. Where did it go? So in that case, you've got, I don't know, 100,000 people in the same situation. So how are they going to deal with it? Some will jump off a bridge. Well, literally, they'll jump off a bridge. And some, they will drink. Some, they will look at it in a matter-of-fact way. And if they're a religious person, and this means, they have faith in God, then they'll look to God and probably ask him, why, God? I'm a good person. Why do bad things happen to good people? And if really they ask, then they may just get that answer come to their heart. They may, as we know happens, be very desperate and then just see Back to Godhead magazine somewhere, read it. Oh, look at that. What's this? Here is solid shelter. Hare Krishna. By the way, I had to have a bank account recently because, anyway, because of something in the way that the health insurance things work, and you need to have health insurance. So we've not used, well, not used for ourselves, a card. And it looks to me, so I used a card for myself. Like the first time Muninja Mohan showed me how you do it. It's like being a child to learn how to, go and use the card. And I thought, there's a lot of trust involved here, isn't there? How is it we trust people with that you need to put in your code, and then you've got the software that's behind it. And then you've got money, which isn't money. It's just some numbers on a piece of paper coming out of a computer. It looks very vulnerable to me as an outsider. Then I wonder, how safe is all this ethereal stuff? Never mind the money in notes. But you see, now you can't even use money in notes in so many places. That's why we had to get this thing. Anyway. Okay, Gangalila Devirasi. She asked about the peacock. What is the peacock for Krishna? Okay, Jivana, this was your question. Oh, yours to answer.
My question?
No, your question for answering. It's Gangalila that asked it. Yeah.
Gangalila. Well, I mean, I really don't know. I can't quote any scripture in this regard. I only can say just different things observing. But for one thing is that the peacock is a fantastic dancer, and they're always dancing about. And then they have, of course, it's probably maybe the most beautiful bird on the whole planet. Sometimes when I would see the peacock, I think, wow, this bird can only be Krishna's bird because it's so luxuriously opulent and beautiful. But maybe partly because of the way it dances, and Krishna is known as a very great dancer, and all of the gopis and everybody in Vrindavan, every step is a dance, right? And then he can just put a peacock feather in his head, which is just charming to everybody. So that's just what little I would think about that. I don't think I've read anything specific in that regard. Have you, Mars?
I have heard something literally over 40 years ago when I was in ISKCON. I heard something in the sense that the peacock is regarded as very pure.
Mm.
And you know about cows, then cow stool. Stool is always regarded, surprise, surprise, as being impure. But cow stool is regarded as pure, and so pure that people clean their houses with it, like a speciality of the cow now. How why, how it happens, who knows, but it just happens. So normally we don't touch bones, and feathers, they are like bone, they're sort of in the bone department, like fingernails. When you're doing the worship of the deity in a very Paka style, you don't touch your fingernail into the water. But the peacock feather is an exception. And we see that the peacock feather are regarded as pure. Not only they look so beautiful, but they're regarded also as pure. And I don't know the mating habits of a peacock exactly, but I was told way back when in ISKCON time that somehow or another they are very renounced. They mate out of duty, and that's like as a duty they mate, and then that is it. So this was told to me, and I can't say that I've read it in a book, but the peacock is regarded as very pure and certainly undeniably, exceptional in its beauty and what it does. It's dancing and its feathers, it shakes, lots of things. I can only think, why not? What is the peacock? Well, why Krishna won't have a special relationship with the peacock. And of course, the peacock feather in his hair. Oh, how beautiful. Hare Krishna. But it is specifically for Krishna because we know from being in the mat under the guidance of Guru Maharaj that we don't put a peacock feather in Mahaprabhu's crown or in his head turban when dressing the deities, as considered as rasabas. And this was something we learned coming to Guru Maharaj. We have lots of things to learn. But we accept it. I mean, we just somehow happily accept it. So anyway, what is the peacock for Krishna? The peacock is very dear to Krishna. Yes, I think we can say. Seva Rupa. Oh, yes, homework. Yes, homework. Okay. Upadeshamritam. Okay. Actually, it is good. We can all make at least a mental note or a more physical note for both of these, the Brahma Samhita and the Ishopanishad, the Upadeshamritam. The Upadeshamritam is our constant guide and friend. And the Brahma Samhita is our constant guide and friend too, but in another way, like just explaining the whole devotional world, where we live, what is the goal, and how to go to the goal, who goes where, and only by devotion can you go there. You can go to higher planets by doing so many good things in this world. But you can go to Krishna by devotional service only. You can go to anywhere, whether we think, oh no, my tradition is worship of Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan, or my wish, oh today, or yesterday for us, today for some of you is Ramachandra's appearance day. So to go to Ramachandra, we hear the glories of Ramachandra, I mean, super glories of Ramachandra. But the only way you can go to Ramachandra's land, the only way we can go to Vishnu's land, the only way we can go to Krishna's land is through devotion. Govinda. Oops, sorry, I turned off the video, but not the microphone. Sorry about that. I need an assistant just to turn off the microphone and video when I get a sneeze coming up. And nobody's answered my question, how to stop. Okay, I'm back. And welcoming also Tongarasa Devidasi and Bhakti Shirup Vaikanas Maharaj. They've joined us also. And here, and Shripad Dandi Maharaj as a Bhakti Ashraya Dandi Maharaj has joined us also, and Axel has joined. Lynn with us, Ramananda Prabhu, we welcomed Ishwarananda Prabhu. We are welcoming here and welcoming on Zoom and welcoming here soon too. Soon on Zoom and here.
Dandas Maharaj, Dandas, thank you so much.
Andavad. And Priyananda Devidasi, I know that wall, I know that roof, I know that other wall. She's in the middle of Siberia in spring.
Oh.
It's a beautiful place.
Wow, beautiful.
It's a beautiful, beautiful oasis temple in the middle of Siberia. And now maybe already you're getting, not yet, no, not yet, getting 24 hours a day of daylight. Not yet, a little bit later. In the middle of the night is light or not, Priyanand?
Actually, they say they have white nights here, but
Yes.
it's more about St. Petersburg, I suppose. But
Further north.
sometimes, yeah, for Tomsk, sometimes they get also, but not yet. It's in the summer usually.
They definitely have light nights. It may not be quite as bright as St. Petersburg, but they definitely have, because we've been there in the middle of the night seeing. All right. And or there are more here. Ishwarananda Prabhu, can you please share a memory of Srila Govindamar that you cherish? Oh my goodness. Ishwarananda Prabhu, when we ask you about your father, your father, do you have a memory you cherish? Every day we cherish everything about Gurudev. How he holds his cup, how he drinks, how he writes. Hare Krishna, how he gives his attention to everything. How many memories. I mean, there are so many things, and some, of course, are very private, because, private means personal, because Gurudev was personal. So, if you say memory that you cherish, well, we've got lots of personal memories with Gurudev. And Gurudev, he made this with him, how he writes, that handwritten little short list of what we should try to do in the ashram, and one of them was to build faith in others in Mahaprabhu and Guru. But I don't have the exact wording, but to help increase the faith of others and of yourself. And that was Gurudev. By his manner, his dealing with others, he's not only trying to get them to increase faith, sometimes trying to get them to have any faith, almost in some aspects. Srila Gurudev, for all of us, he was very encouraging to build faith that what you've come to, look what you've come to, like wake up and this kind of thing, but in his affectionate and sweet way. And really, we should all be doing this. We must, of course, guard our own faith and try to build it by good association, good practices, and by our prayer, the kirtans we sing. There is so much prayer there. We must try to do the right things and not just outwardly, do things by routine. Yesterday, one devotee who's born in a devotee family and not living here, but from abroad. Where's abroad? We're on Zoom, aren't we? But anyway, someone, abroad from Zoom, because they're not here now. They're born in a devotee family and said, from 6 years old, I've been taught how to do puja. Been taught this. It's second nature to me. It's natural to me. But then only recently, when they face some difficulties, everybody faces difficulties, by the way. Just go around down the street where you live and knock on the doors and talk to anybody. Everybody faces difficulties. Anyway, this devotee recently facing some difficulties, and then told me just yesterday, said, I've been following everything as a devotee. I've lived with devotees. My whole life has been with devotees. But only now I'm seeing why I should be a devotee and what it is to be a devotee, to take shelter of the Lord. And now, only now, after, I don't know how many years, 30 years, don't know how many years. It's a lady, so I've got to be careful with ladies, how many years old they are. But anyway, now not a teenager anymore, saying, after all this time, only now it's coming to me about taking shelter of the Lord. Why am I doing puja? It's not just a tradition. So in this way, we must try to be sincere. And Gurudev is always trying to build our sincerity. He's trying to increase our faith. And his faith, how can we say he increases his faith? By example, he's showing so many things but his faith is already like the solid whatever the hardest rock is in the world. And it's not marble. It could be, well, granite or diamonds. Aren't they considered as like the hardest thing in the world? So if you have a giant diamond, an unbreakable diamond, glistening and glowing, which you can show in so many ways with the changing of the light by turning it around, then maybe that's Govinda Maharaj. Unbreakable faith. I mean, just the word faith doesn't hardly apply to Guru Maharaj. It's who he is. It's not something acquired. It's just who he is. He came to Guru Maharaj, and from the first moment, that's who he is. He's Guru Maharaj's servitor. I mean, servitor, but servitor is glorious. That is not servitor as we see in Calcutta or something. We need a servant to clean the floors and treat them, give them a little place to live outside the house, not with the masters. Not like that. Glorious servitor. So anyway, Ishwaranandhu, I'm sure, Ishwaranandhu, when you arrive here, I hear you're coming in August perhaps, but when you arrive here, I'm sure we'll get some walking and talking and with the devotees, and let's see what naturally comes out. And Sripad Dandi Maharaj, Jaya Dandavat, or Jaya and Dandavat. Dandavat Pranam to Srila Maharaj. Oh, okay. So Maharaj is sending his obeisances. Dandavat Maharaj to all the devotees. To all the devotees and to me. That's very kind. Hare Krishna. Ramananda obeisances. Radha Sundar. There are lots of things in the chat box. One day you suggest to read Sri Jaiva Dharma, if I remember correctly. If yes, no. Actually, I didn't. I may have referred to Jaiva Dharma, which I read also in 1980, middle, I read Jaiva Dharma out of inquisitiveness. And I may have said that it is, it's a book that Guru Maharaj does refer to sometimes, and in a way, in a general way, it's good to know what's there, but I don't know of a reliable translation as such. And there are so many books of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which are definitely very good to read. And I can't give a recommendation of who has translated that. I would, as we read some extra book in our, free time, or like just now we're traveling, we read something, then it is good to read once. Anyway, I've read that book once in my life, and it was from the Gaudiya Mat, means it was printed many years ago. And it gives us some idea, but even then I was aware that, not sure about this translation. I was hearing, we're with Guru Maharaj, we're hearing from Guru Maharaj. So, I mean, it's just we don't know who is translating it, etc. So, I don't know. And by the way, when we mention a book sometimes, but it's not that we have to read every book immediately. And I mean, dare I mention to you what book I just began reading when I was this last weekend in Latvia? Because there was a devotee doing book distribution. And we accepted, ISKCON devotee, and we accepted the book to give them encouragement and everything. In English, the book, in Latvia, and it's a book which I've not read for a long, long time. And I've only gone a little way through so far. But reading the book, it's Srila Prabhupada's Chant Hare Krishna and Be Happy. I mean, what a good introductory book. Everyone's always saying, oh, we need an introductory book. So far, I mean, I haven't read the whole book. I'm not saying now everybody go out and read it, but, you know, it's the same thing. It's a similar thing. The book is there and there are wonderful things out there. And we just have to be, happy to read them. And it's not all Srila Prabhupada. Some is by the devotees, but it's a book which has stood the test of time, and still devotees come through that book, and they're distributing that in Latvia. So happy. If you see a book distributor, please buy a book from them. Not buy. You let them give you a book, and please give them something from your heart. As in ISKCON, they said, we want your heart, but we go for the nearest thing to your heart, your wallet. Give us something. Hare Krishna. But yes, Jivadharma, no doubt it's a super book. And we'll get the content of Jivadharma from Guru Maharaj and Gurudev. But we do have a whole life. And if Krishna gives us a few days in our life, more, when we come across these books, then it's good. They're all good for us. It is nourishing. But our focus will be, as far as possible, the original English of Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, and Srila Prabhupada. We'll be safe. And then now we've also got some translations from translations, which is adding an extra complication. And devotees are asking, how do I translate this in this language? It says it. But then, they try to refer to the, what did Srila Prabhupada say? What did Guru Maharaj say? Try to refer to the original English if translating. And to translate a translation and then translate a translation of a translation, gently dangerous. I mean, theoretically it should be fine, but we know that, well, Goswami Maharaj says every translation is interpretation. It comes through the receiver. Okay, we better go, or I'd better go. Oh my goodness, dear devotees, you're very generous to give many things. Sevarupa talks from Srila Prabhupada on Vedabase. Shama Sundar. What does a peacock feather mean to Krishna? Oh, thank you, Sevarupa. What does a peacock feather mean to Krishna? So this is from the Vedabase. Krishna likes it. Yes, that's Srila Prabhupada's answer. Krishna likes it. Yes. Indian lady, is it a symbol of love or something indistinct, or what it is? Srila Prabhupada, no. Krishna likes peacock feather. Then, Barhavatang Sam Asitam Buddha Sundarangam. From Brahma Samhita, thank you. And reminder, we cannot check Krishna's liking. Laughter, yes. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Beautiful answer. Oh, Gangalila, now she's got an answer. I'm always asking questions. Stop sneezing by wiggling your tongue against the roof of the mouth until it passes, using pressure, not transcendental. Wonderful answer. Okay, I'm gonna copy and keep this quote. This is coming from the Vaishnavas. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated, Gangalila Didi. Ishwarananda, I'm sorry to ask such a personal question. Please no, I'm sorry. What? I was just hoping to hear something from you in glorification, which you did. Okay. No, Prabhu, you're welcome to ask. You're welcome to ask. I'm happy you asked. And Radha Sundari, when you are saying dangerous, what do you mean? What did I say about dangerous? Oh no, did I say the word dangerous?
The translation. You were talking about the translation and then you said it can be dangerous, the interpretation.
If we don't know who translated it and the wording, etc., we can, through translation, we can get the wrong meaning. And then if we think, oh, that is what is said in the scripture, but in the translation, what is translated is saying, the sky is green. And then all our life, we're going to think, oh, the sky in the spiritual world is green. But the translation actually is the sky, the sky in Goloka Vrindavan is ever, illustrious or something. I mean, I don't know, that's just a very off the top of my head, like physical example. If there's something wrong in the translation, then it's dangerous. It's dangerous if you've been living in the forest and then you go to the town and you read a guidebook about how to survive in New York. You stand at the curb, and when the red man is there, you cross the road. When the green man is there, you stop. Then you're going to get run over, or you're going to be in danger of getting run over. But the translation, they got it mixed up. I mean, that guidebook, we all know it should be the red man. We all know, except somebody who lived in the forest all their life. The red man means you stop. The green man on the sidewalk means you go. But if it says the other way around, then that's dangerous. So some things we know are said a little wrong in some of the places. So that's why we must try to see who's translated the book, as well as who was the author of the original book, of course. Okay, dear devotees, I don't know where our time went. Only a short while ago I realized we're over time, but we're very grateful for the contributions in the chat box. Very grateful for all of this, and grateful for the company of you all, the association of you all. And I'd love to be able to have more interaction and being quieter and hearing. So do come with things in your pocket like Jivana does, Seva Rupa, and finds things. You all come with contributions, I know, from time to time. So if there's something that strikes you this week while reading Upadeshamritam and reading Brahma Samhita, please do let me know. All right, the clock is ticking. Okay, I have more stories. I'm not going to start with another story now. It's 1/4 the hour. All right. Induleka Devi, she joined us also. Induleka Dandavat, he joined us presently. And those who I can't see, who are with us in the recorded version on Facebook, and in the part of Facebook I can't see, to all of you, our obeisances, our appreciation, and as Gurudev said, our encouragement to always have faith, guard our faith, increase our faith, continue happily in Krishna consciousness. There is nothing else to do in this world that has any tangible, long-lasting value. Jai Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rokha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Vaga ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. And Jai all the present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Brinda ki Jai. And all the unlimited devotees everywhere ki Jai. And Jai to our Sannyasi Vaga Sripad Dandi Maharaj ki Jai, who was with us. Sripad Dandi Maharaj ki Jai, Sripad Vaikanash Maharaj ki Jai. And to all of the assembled devotees. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. So wishing you...
Jai Srila Bhaktiranjan Mansur Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. I'll have to remember to turn down my loudspeaker at the end of the class. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. All best wishes. Get a good night's sleep there in Brazil and have a successful day. Those of you in South Africa, in Australia, in Russia, and different places. Otherwise, have a good night's rest Tomorrow is a new day for Krishna consciousness. Ami Ashchi.